Or in the words of Billy Crystal, may I say, you look marvelous. You got good news, right, Aubrey? You want to tell why you're looking?
Oh, sure. We can so I think this week I just had my check-in where I checked my weight and my inches this morning. I've lost 18.6 pounds and 19 inches off my body so far altogether. Thank you. And
19, that is huge.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
not you.
Awesome.
Girl.
Or not you.
no, not huge. And
Hey,
it was
Aubrey,
really-
Aubrey, you can forget the AI. You don't even need it anymore, right?
thank you. No, well, those I still think those are super fun, but thank you for saying that. The cool thing about doing weight and measurements that I've never done before, I've never measured. So I measure my arm, my chest, my waist, my hips, and my thigh in addition to my weight. And there's some weeks where like I think it went maybe more inches off the waist and it turns out it's actually pounds. And then there's other times where I'm really bummed I don't think I've lost any weight because I hop on my own scale as well. And then it turns out I lost like 1.5 inches off my waist. And I'm like, so I don't know how it all comes together, but it's really smart to measure things because
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
feel like I've made so much more progress. And I will say, like dimensionally in my body, I still feel like I'm taking up. So I was at least about 50, probably 60 pounds overweight, and I'm almost halfway to my goal, which is great. But knowing that I'm just a little less than halfway, so I guess it's no surprise that I still feel spatially very similar. I don't feel like I'm that much smaller, even though I technically am. So the measurements have helped me actually like a ton actually visualize what's actually happening, because otherwise I think I'd be a little less motivated.
Yeah.
doesn't-
Well, your dad told us your pants were falling off last week.
Yeah, so I like to pull them up like Erica now. I find it very satisfying.
That's funny. That's what happened to Alan too.
Here we go, Alan.
Yeah, it was kind of funny when we got married three years ago. I went and got a suit fitted to me and everything, and I still have that suit. And when I come home from the meeting, I'll take my belt out of the pants and my pants fall down, and they're still buttoned and they're still zipped up.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
That's funny.
Does anybody else like do measurements too? Or has my dietitian just been a fanatic?
No, I don't, and I feel like I should be doing. I do some other metrics that I put in my journal, like blood pressure.
Huge. That's a big
Yeah,
indicator.
and stepping on the scale is very huge for me because with eating disorder, that number can hijack your brain and you go into a thing. So
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable with that now.
That's
So-
You know,
wonderful.
I do measurements, but I do also, I don't know if you said you do your calf and your thigh, and I also do my neck. You'd be surprised, especially for guys, the difference in the neck. Of course, when they buy a dress shirt, they know right away, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting, Judy.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I think
Dad, I mean, I don't know if you should do your calves, Dad, because you just have like powerhouse calves that are just like huge muscle no matter. Like ever since I was little, just power calves.
Yeah, they were big, but I used to play racquetball a lot. That made a difference. Yeah.
Sports and working out definitely
Yeah.
target certain areas.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell on you, Troy, I forget you had a dress shirt on, and I could tell how much looser it was around your neck.
Oh,
Oh,
That's
I
nice.
should have said something. Shame on me.
yeah, I'll take all the encouragement I can get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we all can.
In fact, you know, I'll ask you guys this, and I really am asking this not as a person with, well, supposedly leading the group, but as somebody who's trying to practice it is, what do you guys do for consistency? I know we're supposed to be talking about equipment and things we can use in recipes, but maybe just a minute, because I'm finding there's a whole thing with consistency, because I think that's me and Dad's problem is we'll do good and then we won't. But we're capable of good, but it's the long, the consistency. Any thoughts on how do you guys do your consistency?
Well, for me, it's I do my journaling, and I don't always do consistent in that either, but I just look at my numbers and then, okay, I goofed off again, but consistency to me is in the long run, where do I come back to all the time consistently? And I don't look at anything as a failure. I look at them as a data point. Okay, I can learn something from this number or this behavior.
Mm.
So Rita,
Um,
you have specific numbers though that you try to stay close to. So if you start going too far, you're like, oh,
Yeah, and
really
I don't know
gotta.
what happened. I went too far and I'm not happy about that. I really don't know what happened because I'm not eating anything differently.
Oh,
But so but
You're-
I don't panic now because I know that I can use food as my medicine and food is my friend. It might be a long journey for me, longer than for most people. I still have a weight goal that I was hoping to reach at the end of the year, but I might not reach it.
but you're closer than you were, I'm sure.
No, I'm not. I
No?
gained
Oh,
and I did gain, but I'm
You
still
went-
eating
You went back
normal.
home to with the Netherlands, where was it? Norway?
Oh, where I'm from?
Yeah,
Finland.
Finland, that's it, okay. Now that kind of threw you off a little, right? And that was what, like a month?
A little bit, but I didn't really gain much there. It was just my mind was, but no, I'm back on doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Good.
I have no, like, I don't feel any guilt and shame about
you
how I
shouldn't.
feel. Working on acceptance, like a lot. I do weird things in my routine. If anybody wants to know what I do.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, that-
So I do the EFT tapping, emotional
Oh,
freedom
yeah,
tapping.
yeah.
And it's incredible when you have a craving. You just
Mm,
have to remember to stop and start tapping. And you go through these tapping points and then you do a certain verbiage to yourself. And then you take a measurement, mental measurement. Okay, on the scale of 1 to 10, where am I right now with my craving? It's like earlier today was at 9. Then I do a couple tapping series, and then you can feel it goes down. So the stopping, the tapping, talking to yourself, you can actually bypass that wave of craving of something.
Hmm.
They come in waves. So if you
Yep.
wait, but if you start binging while you're on the top of that craving wave, then you've lost the game for the moment.
You know, I always talk, and you're probably tired of hearing it, but tracking my macros to me are so important. And it is what keeps me on track. It really, really is. And I try to every single night write out everything that I'm going to eat to the letter the next day.
that's
And I
awesome.
will tell you, when you do that, you would be hard pressed to ever think I'm going to have, X, Y, and Z that's totally off program. So I know, like at the beginning, kind of that old saying, one day at a time. And then it ended up 1 week at a time. I didn't have to think about it. And now I really don't think about it at all. It's just like,
Habit.
it's done. I made the decision. It is not now a diet. It is a lifestyle. And I feel better. And I've also noticed that for me, if I let too much time go, even if I don't feel that hungry, I still have something so that I don't get to where I feel real hungry. And then the last big thing is nothing at all is allowed to come into the house that I cannot have. Even if, let's say, I have
Mm,
something in the morning, instead of waiting till noon, it still has to be keto.
Yeah,
very
that's
smart.
good. You have good house rules.
Well, one person makes it easy. Like I say that definitely one person, or if everybody in the house is doing keto, it makes it a little easier.
Yes,
Of course.
yes.
I've found that one thing has really worked for me for consistency too, Dad, to answer your question is, and it's interesting because I don't know if we've quite talked about this version of it yet, but we've talked about food journaling, which is great. And that's basically what Judy's saying she's doing just ahead of time before it happens. But I'm doing food journaling as I'm going proactively. But the thing that keeps you accountable is every week I go over that food journal with someone. And so they are seeing what I'm doing and what I'm not. And that and when I know that, I'm like, oh God, they can't, I can't cheat because I have to tell them. Like, I'm not gonna lie about it because I gotta be honest with myself too. So that's a really well, that's actually
That's
I
good.
find that I find that my mind keeps trying to trick me. It's like, oh well, maybe just this and maybe just that. And then honestly, the thing that's stopping me is knowing that somebody else is gonna look at
Yeah. So
No,
do
that-
you think having a nutritionist in your corner made a difference?
for me, yes, but I think in this particular aspect, it could even be somebody else in the group. It doesn't have to be a nutritionist who's necessarily viewing that, although she's come with some of her own advice as well. So
I like that one.
Yeah.
I took notes on what you, Judy, and you just said. I think I like that. I used to do that. I used to do the pre-plan. I always knew I had the A and B day. And somehow I've gotten away from that. I just always knew what I was gonna eat.
life, Dad, life is hard, man.
And of course, me and Dad, because there's two of us and we have a diversity of diet. It used to be I just had something in my fridge and that was, I couldn't if I wanted to. Now we got lots of stuff. But I do like this one here, like the food journal, somebody else that's gonna look at it with you.
And somebody else who like it happens to be my nutritionist has her own set of values that she's looking at, and keto obviously leading that. But I think if you had a friend also committed to keto who knows what to look for, that kind of serves the same purpose.
Yeah, and I really appreciated you saying how, it really makes you have to be honest. I work with a nutritionist twice a week, and
Nice.
I know that he is not wishy-washy. If he will get right to the point real fast. And so that's been very good for me.
I love that. You need that. I mean, I feel more respected when people treat me that way because then I know they care. Because if you're not holding me accountable and like being my mirror and you're just everything's just nice and fluffy and good all the time, well, I don't get anything.